Hey Salon Owners, have we got a program for you? Salon Rising presents Tap In the Membership, a member-driven platform that offers a unique way to tap into Samara's extensive knowledge and inspiration. This collaborative space is member-led content based on what's important to you. If you think this is a community you'd like to be part of, jump onto salonrising.com and come and join us so you can tap in too.
Big thanks to our podcast sponsor, Hair Care Australia, for getting on board with us for our first season. I have worked with this company for such a long time and have seen such growth within my business, and I have felt very lucky to work alongside them in my business as well as working alongside them in our podcast. Thank you, Hair Care.
Welcome to episode 6. Are we episode 6?
We are up episode 6.
Well, I never. Joined today by our dear friend Erin. Today's episode is going to be focusing on, we'd like to call it how to stay friends with your exes. So Erin is a past employee. Yes. So we're going to focus on things like, friendships within business, how you can move on and remain friends, and respectful interactions.
How we broke up.
Yeah.
All the hard things, how we left one another, how we became lovers, how
the initial dating
when I
period.
Say I sobbed, I'm downplaying it. I sobbed.
When she left, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Yes, because everybody's La Sorella for life. So if we start, because Erin has been many things to your business journey, Samara, because she was a client.
Okay, so Erin started as a client about 14 years ago.
But then you knew Erin before that.
No,
right?
I didn't. So
not from that
but
previous place.
So when I left working initially at Stefan's, Erin started as I left as a visual merchandiser, so not a hairdresser, as a VM.
Glorified shelf packer. VM was a rich to advertise it as that, but whatever. Yeah.
Okay, so she was a glorified shelf packer, and she started when I left. So my first employee that worked for me took a manager's role there, and she started doing Erin's hair.
But I did meet Tegan, so I actually knew Tegan before Samara, because Tegan was there. Yes.
I did not know that.
She was friends with Leah. Leah did her hair, and then she started coming to the first salon. So I think that was like 14 years ago.
Long time.
Yep. That's a long time.
Long time.
But then moving from that, Erin became like your muse, your client, because Leah went overseas.
Yep. And then we became really close friends.
Yeah.
Hung out all the time in salon and out salon. And then I think we'd had a discussion quite a few times about hairdressing and you doing hairdressing. At that time you were working at Bed Bath Table?
Nope.
David Jones?
David Jones.
Okay. And we'd had quite a few discussions about hair and, you always said you wanted to be a hairdresser, but it was just never the right time and you kind of got spoken out of it. And then all of a sudden I needed an apprentice and I made you take the job.
Yep.
But funny enough, we'd only just been speaking about it, I don't reckon long before. So
I think
explain your journey.
Well, yeah, I met Leah. She was the one that chopped all my hair off and took it platinum.
And made you who you are.
Literally made Erin who she
gave me
is.
my identity. And then that's how I came to be at Samara's La Sorella 1.0. 1.000 because it was like there were bird cages hanging from the ceiling.
Oh my God, we talked about the bird cages.
We sold sunglasses and stuff. It was so random. And yeah, we spoke. I'd always been passionate about hair, but because the industry was very, very different and very, you would appreciate how much it's evolved. When I wanted to be a hairdresser at 16 years old, people would be like, "Are you for real?"
Refer back to the conversation we had about.
Do you want to be paid $6 an hour to sweep up hair? Like it wasn't anything anybody would encourage you to aspire to be. So I was very much steered in a different direction, and I'm grateful I was because it was all part of how it was supposed to play out. So I'd always been passionate about hair. We had a proper serious conversation when I want to say our son was probably 6 months old.
Our son, yours and mine.
As in yours and mine. Our illegitimate love child. My husband and I's. I'm sorry, I say our. Mine. He's all mine. My son was about 6 months.
Yeah, I remember that at my sister's house.
At your sister's house.
Yeah, and I said, don't do it.
Yeah.
Because I think at that stage you wanted to have another child and you wanted to have them back to back.
Yes.
So I was like,
how times have changed.
I was like, you
I
can't.
knew who that person was. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, you absolutely cannot do that. And an apprenticeship, it would feel silly to stop and start.
100%.
So I think I was just like, it's not going to work until I needed an apprentice, and then it totally worked for me.
And I remember that. I remember you
And
saying,
then
like,
was-
I've talked to Erin,
it's
it's
a while.
happening.
Like
It
it
was.
was 12 months later. 10 months later, something like that. Like it was a while.
So at that point, we were looking for an apprentice, and I just couldn't find. Remember, we couldn't find anyone.
Yes.
Just like anyone, and I was like, oh God, we need one so bad. And then I think I started talking to you about like,
Yeah.
maybe I should talk Erin into it. I feel like she
I'm
would
not
be
even sure if
amazing.
I was back then. I remember us talking about it
Yeah.
and how that was going to be a good idea. And that was because it was that different path to take, mature age apprentice. Like it's a whole different road to go on. But I don't even know if I was back working in the salon.
look,
I don't think you were there. When
I think you also have to find, like, to
No,
be
Trace was there.
completely honest, you have to find the right mature age apprentice because
Oh,
they are
100%.
expensive. Like not for you.
Don't I know it?
But it's so much more expensive than your normal apprentices under the age of 21 who knew you'd mature at 21. And so if you need someone who's going to step up and know how to work and know how to be in the salon, which for me was very easy because I knew you would know how to do everything. But it is something that people need to remind themselves is the fact that it is far more expensive than a normal apprentice.
But I think sometimes people can discount it because it's more expensive. Whereas if you get the right person, they certainly can be worth their weight in gold.
Agreed. Definitely agreed. That's what I mean. You need to like really make sure that they are the right person because there was so much that Ez could do that there was no way apprentice, a non
Under the age of 21.
would have been able to do what she did
Under
for
the
us.
age of 28.
Under the age of 35, you know.
Yeah.
I think they're called geriatric apprentices now. True.
Oh, we're going to laugh this entire episode. I'm waiting for it. Oh, okay.
I do remember we brought on an apprentice after me and they were quite young. And
Erin was like, I don't understand why you don't know how to scrub a toilet.
Or mop a floor.
got such PTSD over that. Who is
Yeah.
this child's mother? Why haven't they taught them how to the basic knowledge?
That was the child who didn't know how often to wash their sheets either. Yeah. Not a good time.
Good time.
That child didn't stay with
Yeah.
us.
Okay, so let's bring it back to Samara convinced you it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Let's do
We
it.
were having,
Yeah.
she was doing her hair, I think I was doing her hair the following week and I was like, hey, you want to be an apprentice? And she was like, yeah, sure. And then she started 2 weeks later.
Yep.
That's how that went.
That was it.
Yeah.
She bailed me up after an appointment at like 9:15 on a Thursday night. And
Normal.
was like, so
I know, because we had been together on the Monday. She's like, I'm gonna make Erin
Doing
want to do
it.
this. She'll do it.
yeah,
She'll do it. I'm seeing her this week.
she will
She'll do it.
Yeah, she will do it.
And it's like, she's doing it.
Generally, people do what I tell them to.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's then talk about your journey as a mature aged apprentice, as an employee, like an employer-employee relationship with someone that you're already friends with. Like, let's talk about how you guys negotiated that.
Oh, we were both aware that it was going to feel different. Like we'd both had that conversation, which was, I think I would highly recommend to anybody who has a friend within business, like is thinking about hiring a friend. Erin and I had the conversation that it was going to feel different because Erin and I, as friends, I used to speak about everything and was really open and spoke about what was going on. But I had to change that because I'm a leader of not just one person, but at that time.
And at that time,
7.
it was definitely starting to grow.
Yeah.
You've got more,
So I was like, I can't whinge to Erin like I would normally do if we're catching up for coffee because it's no longer appropriate. And even you and I had to have that. I remember you and I having that conversation. You being like, "Whoa, it is different."
Yeah, I went from sort of knowing like probably more than I should with the inner workings of how the business was going to then knowing absolutely nothing of the back end of the business
Yeah.
because it wasn't appropriate. It wasn't my business. It wasn't probably ever really my business, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
As a girlfriend,
yeah.
like, you talk about it and now it was like I probably shouldn't you know.
And that's something that people need to remember entering into those. Like that's a mature
on both
leadership.
sides, because
Yeah.
it was for me, it was like, all right, I have to like shut this down. And for Erin, she was kind of like, oh, that's been shut down. So we had to try and also navigate our friendship as well as navigate like her working for me and how that looked so that it still felt really clean and beautiful for both of us.
Yeah.
You can explain your side on that.
Yeah. No, I agree. We I don't even know if I could say we ever really negotiated necessarily anything. There's just always been, Samara and I have always been very open and willing to have very uncomfortable conversations.
Exactly
always.
right.
And I would quite often sort of corner Samara sometimes into those uncomfortable conversations. But when she couldn't get away, she had no choice. And so we talked openly about so many things. There were so many tears, happy and sad.
Yeah.
So
open communication.
The communication was never an issue. So we just kind of navigated that. And I think I wouldn't say the relationship kind of changed. It just evolved. It just became
Agreed.
It just became something else.
Agreed.
And for that period of time that I was there, it was better.
How many years ago did you start?
2017 till 2022.
Yeah, okay. So like
5 years.
Yeah, okay.
Felt like 15, but 5 years.
And the leader that I was 5 years ago is very different to the leader I am now. Very different. I like how Jen laughs, but very different.
No, I'm just laughing about the micromanaging.
Oh, God.
Jennifer.
You know when those people someone will say a comment? So Erin has the funniest humour of no one makes me laugh like Erin does.
It's dry.
We were having a conversation once with Michaela about Michaela's old boss. And I was like, and Michaela's old boss would micromanage her quite a lot. And I was like, I don't micromanage, do I? And Erin goes, micromanage? You barely manage. And I was like, oh. And then she left that night. She was like, please don't get a voodoo doll and stick it in me. Don't worksheet me out of the salon. Please don't burn me up in sage smoke. Like, I'm sorry. I love you. It was just a funny comment. But, mate, the amount of times that we have rehashed that comment.
Because I went from laughing to them being in shock, like, oh, shit.
I was like, fuck you.
Could be fired.
I managed just fine, you bitch.
Is there a line and did I just cross it?
Probably, but I feel like Samara also understands my
sense of humour.
And sometimes I bully you because I love you. It's one of my love languages. I'm sorry. But thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. But you're and taking it back to your management style, I agree. You have evolved so much, really, within that time frame.
Yeah, and it was cool that Erin and I had a conversation once, and I'll talk about this shortly because we're going to go into the rest of Erin's journey. But sitting back, when we got in the new salon, probably about 12 months ago, you and I had a conversation, which was pretty powerful in itself of where that journey went. But anyway, Erin was an apprentice. You started as an apprentice, and in the beginning, it was just you for like 18 months, I think. You were the only apprentice to all of us.
Yep.
And how did you find that, Erin? Erin's job now, also for anyone that knows, is the Clutter Consultant. So she literally goes into people's homes and like declutters their lives. And I felt like she did that for me for
physically,
really long.
emotionally, spiritually.
Put it this way, I feel like after we found new apprentices and I had finished having to sort of take care of everybody on my own, it just wasn't as clean anymore. So you hired cleaners.
I did hire cleaners. It was never as clean as when Erin was in the salon. Ever. There you go.
No, it was a lot. It was busy, but I didn't know any different. So
Yeah.
I didn't have anything to compare it to. This is my one and only experience of working as a hairdresser in a salon. I'd been in the salon environment previously as VM, but it's completely different. And I don't think anybody will ever fully appreciate and understand what it's like to be a hairdresser until you have actually been a hairdresser.
Agreed.
Yep. So it was fine. It was cozy. It was sweaty.
It was
I
very...
was running. But it wasn't that big, so it wasn't that far to run.
It was just lots of caffeine.
Just lots of, yeah.
And I think
shout out to that coffee machine.
I think at that time too, it was a real almost, we started to evolve. Interesting enough, I think, if I look back at, like, we'd only hired hairdressers. So we were conditioned to what hairdressers did and what they needed. And then all of a sudden we hired someone who
Came from a different world.
Yeah, they came from a different
and
world.
expected things to be and encouraged things to be different.
She was like, what about lunch breaks? And I was like, we move. And Erin's like, no, I sit and I eat and I must eat.
Yeah.
And then came the era of, like, now when it comes to, like, how strict are we when it comes to, no one ever not gets a break in our salon ever.
I think I really liked as well that aspect of self-responsibility that Erin brought as well.
Yeah.
Like, just that, come on, be responsible for your own mess, for your own stuff, which I don't think you get from a younger apprentice, right?
You don't. Oh my God, no one, and I mean no one, ever touched Erin's things.
Ever.
I take everybody else's stuff. I would look and go, oh, no, Erin's trolley, walk away.
But that was also a boundary.
To use that bowl, you wash that bowl up.
Yeah.
And you put that bowl away. I don't understand. Why is it so difficult?
It's not,
So
Erin. It's
I-
really not.
I really did get that mum mode on.
You
for a hot
did.
minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As an apprentice, telling seniors how to look after their shit. And it should have been awkward, and it really wasn't.
Nah, it
No.
It
wasn't.
never was.
But I think that comes down to, again, your personality and how you put it across and those respectful conversations, right?
Agreed.
Okay, so apprentice, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Finished your apprenticeship while we were in
The new
1.0?
salon.
COVID.
Yeah, like in that salon.
The last 2 years of my apprenticeship were in the throes of COVID. No training, no hands-on training, no models allowed. TAFE was just about via Zoom. Like, it was a time. Yeah. So it was all right. We still did it. We got through it. Yeah. So there was a big, I don't know. I look back at that 5 years that, again, I find it difficult to understand that it was only 5 years, because it really truly felt like so much longer. There was so much we packed into those 5 years.
Yes.
But I think you and I in particular, or myself and La Sorella, came together because it was those 5 years. There was so much catalyst for change for both of us, and the business, and you personally, and me personally. And that journey would have never been the same if it wasn't for these, like, monumental changes of things that happened, obviously globally, economically, pandemically, but the way that, even just you say, you know, I sort of came in, was like, cool, so, like, I can take my lunch break now. And you were like, what? And I'd be like, text you in the morning and say, I'm really sorry. You know, my son's not well. I can't come in. And you'd be like, what? Because we'd been conditioned that in the industry, in previous places that we'd worked at, and I'd seen it, that unless you were in ICU or quite literally on fire, you were coming to work.
And even then.
Yeah.
And for us just to have a message, like for me to have a message and be like,
So matter of
hey,
fact.
babe, can't come in today. Like, Eli's sick. I was like, what? Like, because normally it's like, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I feel the worst. What can I do? And she was like, Eli's sick. I'm not coming in today. And I'm like, okay.
I mean, I was sorry. That sounds like I'm a savage, but I was sorry.
No,
but it's like,
no,
but
but
it's that,
you knew.
helped.
Yes,
It's like,
but
it
at
is
the
what
end
it
of the
is.
day, at that point, that's how you just handled it in any other business.
Yeah.
You had no idea what it was like for us, like if we ever called in sick. So you just were like, I'm calling in sick, like something's wrong.
Yeah.
And for us,
That was a big lesson for all of us.
That was a huge lesson for all of us.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So, you know, very interesting hiring somebody that was older and had been in different industries, so kind of knew where things
Grow within our industry.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Lots and lots and lots of growing.
Okay. So then we fast forward again and we've finished our apprenticeship and we're in the new salon, but things were starting to change for you in your space of, like, your family and your other business opportunities. So we're approaching the hard conversation.
Yeah.
I had the hard it wasn't even a hard conversation. I was like, hey, babe, when are you leaving? She was like, hey, I'm at that point. So So we can go into that, but it wasn't even
was
a hard
a slow burn leave though. Like it was a slow burn.
It was like, you remember when Jen told us in an
touchdown.
episode that it took her 3 years to leave?
Yeah.
It took me 12 months.
It took Erin 12
It
months.
took me 12 months. I finished my apprenticeship quite immediately. I was like, all right, I need to drop back from full time, which was 4 days, to 3 days because my body was really, really tired. And that sounds ridiculous because I'd only been hairdressing for 4 years, but my body was telling me it was really tired, and I struggled doing the 4 days. I hadn't been conditioned over 15 years like some people. So
Isn't that interesting in itself?
Yeah.
Like the way that we can work. Like Erin was like, I'm tired. And I'm like,
Are you?
why? This is normal. And Erin's like, no, I'm just tired and I'm listening to being tired. And I was like, we keep moving.
And I'd worked in industries before, like in design and VM, where you're on your feet all day. So it wasn't necessarily the physical side. It's just that hairdressing is such an energetic exchange that I was giving out so much energy. And then you're also trying to perfect your actual skill at the same time whilst also being on your feet physically. So it was sort of like the three were just slamming up against each other. I was tired. So I dropped back to the 3 days pretty much straight after I'd finished that apprenticeship. And then I think I stayed that way for maybe 6 months and then went down to 2. At this point, I had rebranded a business that I had for many, many years that Samara was already aware of, but I had relaunched, rebranded, and it was starting to kind of gather
It was when
a bit of momentum.
It was when the Christmas trees went nuts that we were like, holy Jesus.
Well, it was the end of 2020. So I thought that time of that at that period in the year I'd lost a baby, much like yourself. So I was like 5 weeks or something after you. Again, synchronicity. And in hindsight, it's now obvious that I wasn't supposed to birth the baby. I was supposed to birth the business because that month I was like, I need to put my attention and energy into something or I'm not going to get through this emotionally now. So I put it towards the business and I put the feelers out to see if Christmas styling for, residences and commercial was a thing, and it was, and it just quite literally exploded.
It really was.
Yeah, it really was. So I was doing both of that. And also, just to backtrack a little bit, I started the apprenticeship in 2017. In 2018, my husband decided that we had the conversation that he was done with his very stable long-term employer, my parents, and wanted to become self-employed. So we also launched a business for him in 2018. And I run the back end of that business and still do 90% of it. So there was that going on at the same time as me working full-time and parenting. I think my son was like 2 at that point. So, yeah, it was quite a lot. And then, so that sort of took through Christmas 2020 and then into 2021, those Christmas clients turned into organising and styling and decluttering. So I dropped back to 2 days, and then eventually I had the conversation with Samara and said, I think I'm just going to do casual. And that was basically 1 full day a week.
And then it went to like
and then
1.5
7 hours, 6 hours, 5 hours. When we got to 3 hours, we thought we'd better take the time.
1 client. And I remember Samara was about to go on mat leave, and so was Michaela, but Samara was about to go on mat leave. And if I didn't have that conversation with her, I knew like the course of her next trajectory, because every time she births a baby, she births a new Samara.
Yes, she does.
So I knew
Welcome to the podcast.
I knew that she was just about to become somebody that I probably was going to struggle to have that conversation with, because she was going to be in so many different other places, emotionally, spiritually, physically. So we sat down and we had that conversation in the March, and I left in the April.
Did I ring you? I can't remember how that conversation happened. I think I was just like, all right, dude, when are you wrapping it up?
I remember I sat down with you and you're like, I was just waiting for you to kind of tell me when. And I was like,
I was like, all right, dude, this is like,
like,
we're at 3 hours a week
clearly
now.
It's been coming.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And we had, like, Erin and I, as she said, we had so many depthy conversations. This is our relationship. We talk a lot. And
a lot of sitting in the car until 11 o'clock at night.
yeah, so we'd finish at 9 o'clock at night, and then we'd end up like standing out the front of the salon, standing a little bit further from the salon, standing at your car, getting in your car, and then just sitting in the car and having a conversation. I remember sitting in your car one night, many nights, but I was like, fuck, it's 11:30. I need to go home. But I remember sitting in that car that night from the new salon, and we were talking about kids, and I was like, could you be pregnant? You're like, maybe. And not even a thought in my head that I could be. And I was pregnant with Wilder. Then I found out, I think, the next night. And I did not even register that I could be pregnant. And I was like, oh, shit. And then Erin and I went to a wedding together, and I'd still told no one because I left the next day. So I left the next day to go on holidays, and I told no one. And I was like, fuck, I'm even going to have to try and hide drinking a cocktail from her. This is going to be hard.
You did? I had no idea.
But many conversations were had, and not even just those conversations, but so many conversations to do with growth and where things had headed and the difference in the salon. And, even Erin really helped when I moved from the old salon to the new salon. She came in and helped me organise it. All my incredible Christmas display is all Erin. And even that shift and seeing the shift in the business, it really shifted dramatically when we moved to the new space.
It really did.
And the designer of the space was a friend of mine.
That's right.
So I put you in contact with her.
That's right. Yep.
Who I had worked with. So when I worked at a design firm a few years ago, I was doing a few different things within the company, and there was an amazing designer that worked there who had since also gone out on her own. And I remember having a conversation with you once you'd found the space, saying I know my vision, but I just I'm going to need somebody else to,
No, at that point I'd already hired her.
Oh.
You'd spoken about her because I didn't tell anyone that I'd done it.
There you go.
I was a sneaky bitch. And I had told no one I'd done it. And I think I'd seen you comment on her work with Edwards & Co.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you saying, I like my friend Amanda. And I was sneaky and went behind Erin's back and contacted her. So, yeah, by the time you saw it, I was working with her. So that was – and we were very much at that stage. Do you remember writing that list of what we wanted out of the salon?
Yep.
And windows, yeah, light, lots of light.
Yep.
And then, being able to take you guys for the first time to the new space was the coolest. I just said, everyone has to drive to this location and I'll see you when you get there. And, that was very cool.
Yep.
So, we went from there. But we also, at that point, we were having those discussions of, I guess, then versus now, and we could see the switch. And even with our new apprentices, the difference in the culture that was fostered with them, because we'd had times where apprentices didn't get along, and it really did change the culture of what our salon was at that point.
That's why they had to be best friends.
So then we made our apprentices.
And they are.
They all are. But interesting, the learning curves that you get from things like that is, and I remember you having a conversation with me and being like, whoa. And it's one of those things, it's cool when you're kind of older and you can see it, but it's cool. I remember you saying to me whoa, I didn't realize I was caught up in that kind of negativity spiral until it's completely different now. And now I just think, God, these apprentices are so lucky. It's so good. Do you remember that conversation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. There was also there was no reprieve in La Sorella 1.0. There was nowhere to go for breathing room. There was no you're in a fishbowl. Anybody that walked past looked in. So coming to the second space, just even having the breathing room, if you did need to have a minute, you had it there. So you couldn't get caught up in anything. Not that there was anything there anyway, but it's hard when you're in a small space, and then there's also toxicity within that space.
And you can't get away from it.
You can't get away from it.
I remember fearing, and I remember this feeling so well of the back room. For me, it was just I was always anxious when everyone was in the back room, and I was always wanting to go out there and make sure no one was talking anything. And I was so caught up in this spiral. In the new space, I don't think once have I ever thought, what's going on in the back room? They're cracking up.
Other than, why is everyone laughing and I am not there?
Literally cracking up, losing their mind. I wish I had a camera in that back room just for the joy that it would bring me, because we had catch up the other night and the girls were showing me these like random videos that Carly was trying to act out with India, and I'm not going into it because it definitely would be, you know, a HR situation. But that back room now is just like this pure love. Like there's prints all over the walls of how we can love one another and how everyone needs to be seen and valued. And, you know, there's prints of us.
Yes.
And so much growth. But it was working through all those things that were hard that brought us to where we are.
Absolutely.
And the culture was, look, don't get me wrong. When I say this, we've always had a beautiful culture, always. But
each little niggle's that opportunity to grow, right?
Yes,
and
agreed.
You either sit in that same space or you're like, right, let's learn from this. What can we do differently?
And it sucks when you're in it. You're just like, ugh, this
Burn it
all
down.
feels yuck.
Yep.
Burn it down. I just feel like no one's getting along. I just feel like it's constantly like attacking at me. And as an owner, it's really tough. And then, and you start to go, fuck it, let's pivot. What now? What happens now?
Because, you know, you really start to become a bit of a product of your environment. And
Yes.
So, you know, we were sort of all feeling that a little bit for a period of time. It wasn't for very long.
No, it wasn't.
It really wasn't.
No.
And then,
And I think those hard conversations, I think when a staff member, and this is not talking about you, but I think when a staff member starts to check out and not in a good way is when everything starts turning.
Yes.
It's when someone's decided they're done.
Yep.
And then it feels like they're like sticking in there, but then that's when all the negativity starts to breed because they don't see the joy in their job anymore.
Yes.
And I very much say to my clients, my Salon Rising clients, if it's getting to that point, have the hard conversation together and work through it together immediately now. Like don't wait on it. Don't wait until someone is like, you feel like it's a burn down stage. Like have the hard conversation straight away and see if that person can move on faster.
Yeah,
because
it's easier to have the hard conversation than to put it off and have it negatively impact your other staff and your business.
Completely agree.
yeah.
And, you know, when like all of us have been through, you know, when I had team members leave for the first time, it's always, I remember a girlfriend of mine said to me once, like, the first ones are always the hardest and then you'll just get used to it. And I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to get used to this. But it's true. Like the first couple are always the hardest. You always feel like your business is going to fail when people leave. You always blame yourself. You're always thinking about how you could have done things better or more. And because I'm so obsessed with my culture, I took it as such an attack that I wasn't doing enough, but I was doing plenty. And it's just that their time to move on. And the universe always works in such an amazing way because, you know, with like our staff members that were ready to move on, it meant we got 2 more members of our team that, you know, we wouldn't be able to live without.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's, I think we all get in it. So that's a biggest tip that I can say to someone as a salon owner. If it does feel icky, have that hard conversation. If they need to move on, there's someone better, not better. There's someone better now and right to move into your space, better suited for now. Because once someone's decided they're ready to go, you shouldn't be keeping them there anyway. They're ready to spread their wings. And now I can see it with such clear eyes, you know, when you stand back and look in, because, you know, I love the people that have left my business still so much, and I've loved that they've had their own journey, and I love the humans that came into La Sorella and really changed and shaped La Sorella as well, because those new humans meant that we could reshape it in a new way.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard when you want to move and shake things. And I think I started stepping into myself more as a leader. I actually started managing and not so much just being a hairdresser. I really started to step into that manager's role, and it was really hard to shape people that had seen me in that role for a long time.
Yep.
And they weren't pliable to that movement. So having people leave and then you get to like almost reinvent yourself and start fresh. With this, it's the same with the apprentices. Like when we made them love each other.
Important thing too to remember that if somebody is going to leave, it is not necessarily, not always, but it is not necessarily a reflection of your culture.
Agreed.
because sometimes it is just somebody's time to leave.
Agreed.
And that is just their journey.
If I was leaving because of the culture, I wouldn't have left. I used to say to Samara, I feel like you're paying me to come and hang out with my friends. So
I was cool with it.
yeah.
Erin had such a strong clientele because everyone just wanted to hang out with her too.
And I used to sort of get tapped on the shoulder by Tegan, and she'd be like, "Can you please stop talking because you're going to be running late? Like, you've got to stop talking." I can't.
Same.
I can't. Yeah, that was
It's
the hardest
I
part
am
for me.
deep
I didn't,
in this right
and
now.
I think it's important. You'll probably attest to this, Jen. I didn't leave La Sorella because I wanted to. I left because I needed to.
Yes. Yes.
And you'll feel the difference when people, I think that's for me, I knew Jen was ready. I knew you were ready, and it feels very different when you have humans that leave and they're leaving in a way to, follow different dreams or pursue something. It feels very different. It feels very organic and loving. It's harder when you have people leave and you feel blindsided by it. And you also, when they're leaving, I actually don't know if I've had anyone ever leave me to go to another salon, but the staff members that I had go, they left to pursue their own thing, which is hard because at that point, that the clientele they're going to need to take is yours. So it kind of feels yucky and sticky and hard from both sides because you find out about it last. You feel like everybody else knows about it first because they're kind of having to get their, pieces in order, I guess. But it feels really tough when you've put your heart and soul into people and then that happens because then you also feel a bit heartbroken. So in those instances, I had to protect myself in a way. I stopped following things on social media because all it would bring me was heartache to watch clients move because I just then didn't feel good enough. It always came back to I'm not good enough, so they've gone. It was my shit too. But I promise you, the business, the walls, they do not fall. The business that you've created, they do not fall because people leave. So then when you have friends that have worked for you and then leave like you guys did, it was just like, cool, how can I support and love you through this journey and how can we celebrate this and your time with us and
see you every 5 weeks.
See you Erin's now back having her hair done every 5 weeks.
Which is another thing to talk about because as Erin and I were saying the other day, there's a reason that Erin still comes every 5 weeks. She doesn't work there anymore, but there's a reason that she doesn't go somewhere closer or anything like that. It's like, no, this is my place. So maybe let's talk about that for a little bit, Erin.
There is nowhere else to go.
I'll give you 50 later.
I'm still so deeply connected to that place. I have so many strong relationships there, and I think it's evident to me even when I go to get my hair done because I overstay my welcome because I'm going around talking to clients. I got stopped by 3 clients last week that were just like,
that was so nice.
Oh my God, what have you been doing? And they weren't even my clients.
Yeah.
They were other people's clients.
Thursday was so nice. I said, we spoke about that in our meeting, what was the best bit about your week? And I was like, Thursday was so good. Jen came in, she brought donuts, and then Erin was in, and then lots of our regular clients were in, and it was just like, everyone's home.
Yeah, I saw so many faces.
That was favourite thing about her week. Jen came home.
Bless her
And then everyone was like,
soul.
yeah, but then it felt like Jen was here, and then we realised Jen is not. Meet Hair Care Group, the trusted partner of the professional hair industry. They're a proudly Australian family-owned company with over 45 years of experience. Founded by a hairdresser for hairdressers. Hair Care Group are passionate about empowering salons and your team to make your clients feel their best. They know that running a successful salon business requires you to wear multiple hats, and that's why they're here to help. With a curated portfolio of leading brands, world-class education and tailored solutions, they're innovating to make working in your business and on your business simpler. Join our community of like-minded professionals and experience the power of partnership. For Hair Care Group, it's more than hair. I can honestly say, hand on heart, that this company has transformed my business and the way that I do business. I strongly suggest for anybody who is looking at a new hair brand to get in touch with this incredible company. But yeah, it was that culture that we'd fostered with clients and stuff. And, I am very grateful that Erin like cut back for a really long time, because had she left immediately after her apprenticeship, going from full-time to nothing, it would have felt like a massive loss in the salon, because as I said to you, the client, if Erin ever wasn't there, the clients always were like, where's Erin? Where's Erin? Where's Erin? Like, she was such a big part of our salon.
Erin's personality fills a room in the best possible way.
Yes, agreed. So it was easier as you started to cut back, then people started to get used to it, and then it didn't feel as hard when you were gone.
You know, and it wasn't just leaving the salon. Like, I had 12 months talking to my clients. I had to talk to them over a long period of time, that this was not that I told them that far out, but, you know, it gave me time to talk to them, to say this was my intention and this is what was going to happen.
And I think too, you were pulling back days. So you're like, I'm only in here on these days. Let's book you in with somebody else.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I still have relationships with a lot of those clients, you know, on socials and things. I still watch their life from afar because I have FOMO.
Because you were invested.
They all have FOMO.
Really, yeah, such FOMO. So I have such a deep connection to that place, not just the team, but just everything, the greater people of La Sorella, one big package deal. I love going into that space. So I couldn't go and get my hair done for anyone else. Samara would fucking kill me.
I would fucking kill her.
Can you imagine?
Would kill her.
Oh my God. Plus I couldn't not see everybody at least every 5 to 6 months. So it's too much.
So now she pays me again. I like it.
Yep, they've come full circle. So
The circle of life.
the circle of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she would get very cranky if you went somewhere else, because it's a lifelong commitment.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the lifelong commitments that we have made.
It's a sisterhood. It's called La Sorella.
It is.
That's sister in Italian.
It is my
So-
sister in Italian.
So
Sisterhood
for
runs.
those-
What did you make us all do? No,
Yes.
I lie. So this.
no one had a gun to their head.
I remember going to a salon once and 2 people had this. And I was like, I really would love it one day if my team wanted to do that. Like, that's the ultimate. This, I'll tell you what it is, surely. That's the ultimate for me. If my team actually wanted to do this all together, this is creating the most ultimate culture I could ever create.
Mm-hmm.
What was that, Erin?
We branded ourselves.
Matching tattoos.
Matching tattoos.
How many of us did it?
I don't even know.
There was 8 of us.
8, I think.
Was it not more?
No, I think it was 8.
No,
So-
'cause 2 didn't. And I think we're a team of 10 at that point.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was 8 of us.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Kayla didn't because she doesn't have any tattoos. And Tegan didn't because Tegan doesn't like matching tattoos. Funny enough, Tegan has moons all over her.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Technically,
see
she
that
still
moon right
has
there?
it.
That is you,
We're gonna
us
claim
matching
it.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to claim it.
Every time I'm like, that's ours.
Yeah. I think I don't know, randomly once I just sort of put out in the group chat, does anybody want to get a tattoo with me? I'm thinking like getting a crescent moon. I don't know, what do you reckon?
Oh, and I think you said it to me and I was like, maybe you could put that in the group, see if anyone else would go for it.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, yup.
Sure.
Yup.
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 Ree was like, I'll have 5.
So we all have matching.
Because that was Ree's first tattoo, wasn't it?
No, remember Courtney worked with us for a week.
Oh, that's who it was. Yes.
We were like,
Bless
you've
that
worked
girl.
here for a week. Are
Yeah.
you sure? She's like, yup. And we were like, have you thought this through? Like, you've been here a week. What
you
happens
spoken
if you
to your
don't like
mother?
us? And she was like, no, let's do it. And we were like, all right, brand yourself up, babe.
Yep.
So we all had this little crescent moon is the La Sorella logo. And then,
For all those watching at home.
Mine's there.
and then the star is also the logo. So some got with the star, some got with dots. We kind of changed it all up and everyone's got them in different places.
Yeah. But everyone's got the moon.
Everyone
Moon
has
is
the
core.
moon.
Yeah.
The funniest thing about that is, so Laura, who works with us now, has a crescent moon behind her ear that she had before she started.
Before she
with us.
started.
And Kate has crescent 3, I think, or 1. I don't know. But Kate has a white crescent moon on her as well, on her fingers, I think.
We're a coven now.
And she's never and she did that before she started working here.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. I'm like, okay, if you have a crescent moon, you can work at La Sorella.
It's like for the job application. Do you have any tattoos?
Yes,
Please
a crescent
send them
moon.
through.
Hired. Yep.
Okay, so I think now it would be nice if we discussed, the relationship with you guys. If we talked about something that you learnt from Erin, Samara, in your time working together, and Erin, something that, oh gosh, you learned from Samara. Who wants to start?
Oh, fuck. I feel like Erin should start because she's going to say something smart-assy and then I'm going to need to think about something that was just as funny to come back with.
Do you want me to say what just came?
Yes, please do.
I feel like something that I taught you, so this is different. This is not what you taught me.
How to clean a toilet.
What?
How to clean a toilet.
No. That is probably one of the biggest lessons I probably could have given La Sorella, right? Is the education and awareness that consultate is not a word. It's not a word. I remember vividly, Samara was like, all right, babe, let's go. Shadow me. We're going to consultate with this client.
And you were like, no, we are not.
We're doing what now?
Everyone said consultate.
Everybody
The
still
fuckery
says
is
consultate.
She's like, I've been saying consultate for 15 years. I'm like, well, it's not a word.
For those playing at home, the word is consult.
Consult.
Or consultation. It's not consultate.
Done.
I'm pretty sure I still say consultate. Let's go do a consultate.
Yay.
That even sounds wrong. I mustn't say it anymore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely did learn that word. Thank you, Erin. Correct.
Yes. You're welcome.
Also, Erin gives the best presents ever. She is the most thoughtful gift giver, and my love language is not gifts, but I told Erin that I would give her. I was like, can I just give you an amount of money? And then every now and then when you find gifts, you just buy them for me, because she buys the best shit ever.
It's kind of a thing for a while.
It was a thing for a while.
Saw this, thought of you.
Yeah. Can we start that up again?
Do you not have everything already?
No, but I'd like to start. I feel like everyone can understand with how we match.
Yeah, this was not planned.
But I would like to start. I would like to start that again. Okay, all right. One of the things I learned from Erin, apart from all the other things that I'd said I'd learnt, was how to. Erin very much did teach me how to have hard conversations. Because she would just push me to do it. And
Into a corner.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. No way out.
No, you will talk to me about this.
Mm-hmm.
And also how to, at that point though, I'd hired, like Jen had been my best friend for a million years working for me, but it was very different hiring your friend who's an apprentice to work for you, because you don't, like, you're teaching them pretty much from scratch on what to do. So I learnt how to kind of create those boundaries that still felt really safe and still nurtured our relationship as well. So that was pretty cool. And a way that I knew how to do it so that it was, I don't know if I would have been able to do it with anyone else, because you pushed me to have conversations when it was hard. And you knew me and my heart. So you knew that anything that was coming across was never in anything other than just me being me. And I think that's what so often happens, is we both portray, someone's thinking this is one thing and someone's thinking it's the other, and then it's nothing like that at all. So it's when breakdowns of relationships like that can happen. And then you also taught me really how to bring our industry to where it needed to be with standards and things like that, with lunch breaks and sick days. And like a lot of that had me really deep diving into, like, why does this affect me so much, and what can I do to change it, and how can I run the business differently. And it's a constant involvement for any salon owner out there. It's not, you don't learn this. I still learn every day. It's the same as hairdressing. You don't learn it and then you know what you're doing. Like, I own it when I am wrong. I claim it when I'm right. But it's still kind of learning every day of how to be the best owner I can be the best leader.
Excellent.
Erin?
So
Erin didn't do one. Erin did one for me, and then I did one.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
She taught me consult.
So Samara taught me how to consultate.
I did actually teach her how to consultate.
I learnt from Samara in the way that she did in fact manage. Thanks very much. I'd only ever come from industries where the bosses that I had were quite hard, not approachable, and they didn't lead with their heart like what you did. So I was able to step into a space where you didn't lead from your head and logic first and just what was going to be best for the business. You have always run your business with what was going to be best for the people. And then the flow on effect that had, I was able to be, washed in.
I think you were the first person to bring that term up to me, which was heart-led leader. I remember you writing it in your writing in a card, and I was like, oh, yes, I feel like I resonate with that really hard.
Your decisions come from your heart. I think some people are very logical and their decisions come from their mind. Mine personally is more of an instinct. My decisions come from my gut, and yours come from your heart and pour out into other people. I've told you this a million times.
And things like, I remember having a conversation with you, and it gets like hard, but I remember having a conversation with you after I'd lost a baby, and you were like, we're not talking about this tonight. And I was like, I'm sorry, but I have to just put my leader hat on tonight, and we just have to do this. And then tomorrow I will lose it and you can be my friend. And you were like, all right, let's do it. Go. And because I knew I needed time to be able to process that, but I needed to be a leader first. I was within the business. I was like,
you literally buried what had just happened and went straight back into like work mode. And I was like, like, are you okay? Do you like?
I was like, don't hug me. Don't come near me.
And she was like, nope, don't touch me.
We can go into
We'll do this another time. Yeah. We need to get on with it, or I won't get through the night. Basically,
pretty much.
Yeah.
The things you go through, and it's so different being in, like, again, an all-female salon for us.
Yep.
And the things that we go through and the challenges you have, it creates bonds. Like, I was laughing the other day because we put a playlist on that said Tian's date with Dylan.
Oh my God.
And I was like,
such a good playlist.
Such a good playlist. Like, and
pony,
it was the first time. It was the first time she went on a date with him, and we all knew it was coming. And
they're engaged
now they're engaged. So it's so funny how you just go, like, you build such beautiful memories and such beautiful bonds with people that
life moments.
I never wanted to get to a point where I wasn't friends with the people that had left, even if through that time it felt sticky for everybody involved. Not always, but it felt sticky. I never wanted to walk away and not be friends with the people that you spend so much time with.
Yeah. More time than you really spend with anybody else in your life.
And then also people say, like, they left straight after their apprenticeship. Like, shouldn't they work for longer? And this was something that you were really funny about, because you were like,
the guilt.
I feel bad leaving. And
the guilt.
But I also look at it in a way that I couldn't have got through those years without you. So
either could I.
And
without that sisterhood, either could I.
Yeah.
I had a small human. And I think in hindsight, looking back, I often wonder if it was the sisterhood that I was looking for more than the hairdressing.
Yeah.
Because you're not hairdressing at all anymore, are you?
Nope.
No. And that's interesting, right? Erin came in it like later, did her whole apprenticeship, and then has fallen back into what she was meant to do, but it wasn't ready then. It's ready. Like, it was waiting for you now in like this perfect evolvement.
And I think I just needed everything that La Sorella gave me at that particular time in my life. And I think if you're a mother, you'll understand what that feeling feels like, how they say it takes a village, And I didn't have that village, so I found that village within the sisterhood of La Sorella, and it just felt like a big cuddle.
It's very cute. I also remember, quickly before we get off, I think this is a good one, you and I being open about a conversation once where Erin, at that point you were still working for me, but you'd had a little chair at home. You were just doing like family or friend here or there. And you once said to me, hey, this client's not coming back to the salon. She's like specifically said she's not going to come back to the salon. Can I do her at home? And again, open communication. And I think I said to you, no. I said in 12 months' time, if she's still not a client of La Sorella and she reaches out, then yes. But you've got to give her time to resettle back in. And again, I took a moment to breathe on that. And Erin was like, yep, completely understand. And that's why this was so easy, is that communication point was just like, okay, thank you for coming to me. You were like, completely understand you. But if Erin had felt differently, she would have talked that out again with me. But that's the difference, right? I think it was just that complete communication at all points about everything, us personally and our relationship, then the business and how you could see things, because you were even really comfortable at times coming to me and going, I think we could do this, or how about we try this, or this could go really well. And again, I still was always like, what do you think, Erin? Because you're
saw
also
things
good with
in
a different way.
systems,
Yes.
and hence you organise people's lives for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that, having that clear communication between friendships, between business, between how can I involve you as well?
It was just an understanding. I'm not going to go and date, my friend's ex. Like, I just wanted to check with you first if I could do one of your ex's hair. Like, I understand that it was probably crossing a line, so I wanted to check that first. But if we didn't have that relationship, then I would have been the person that just did it anyway.
Yeah.
And you might have found out, maybe you wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Imagine if I did and you found out.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good one too. If you are staff members and you're listening to this, it's, if you wouldn't want it done to you, don't do it to someone else.
Mm.
And it's the same thing, I guess, when it comes to owners. If you wouldn't want it done to you, don't do it to your staff.
Mm.
And if you wouldn't want it, like if
it just felt sneaky,
yeah,
and it felt like a few things that we'd already worked through with, previous culture, like what we had spoken about before. So it didn't feel right to be able to go back to doing that.
Yeah. So
behavior.
it's that have a conversation, and you and I had a conversation.
Yeah.
I said to Jen, you can take these clients.
Yeah.
Like these specific clients, are haircut clients. They love you. They take a lot of time. They don't work within our culture anymore because of the fact that they want you take them.
Yeah.
And we had a very open conversation about who's being taken and how that feels. And I, I had just even Jen and I had to set in restraints, and I had to say to her, like, you have to say blanket no now to anyone else, because if they have the option and they can, they can't have the option.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it feels sticky and yucky, and then you start to affect friendships. And if you look in this room, it's two of my closest friends that have both worked for me. One, Jen is still doing hair, but she's doing it from home and working in Salon Rising, and Ez is not doing hair anymore. But it's like two ways that they were just so thought first of how it will affect me as well as I was to them. So I was just as excited for them to go on their journeys, because I knew they were going to protect and love me doing that in the most organic way.
Agreed. So I was going to say, Erin, as we close things up, what we like to do at the end of an episode is talk about a journal prompt. I feel like we've spoken a lot about communication. So if you could maybe think just off the fly of a little prompt that if people are considering, how to have these conversations, with either their staff or their employer, what little advice would you give them?
What could they journal on?
I'd probably ask you to go inside and go internal and ask yourself how approachable you think you are as a manager, because I still could have cornered Samara if she wasn't approachable.
Yeah.
But that's my personality.
But other people can't.
But other people can't. So if you've got people that don't like confrontation, but you also, it's possibly something that's not your fave, which is fine. But as a manager, you don't really have a choice. You're going to have to put your big girl panties on. So I would ask you to reevaluate how approachable you think you are. And if you were to come up to yourself in a situation and somebody's about to have a really hard conversation, how do you think you would handle that? And what do you think your reaction would be? And do you think that it would encourage further open communication? Because that's the only way that it's going to work, and that's the only way that we grew as a relationship and as a team, is being able to be approachable. So how would you handle your own hard conversations, I guess?
Good journal prompt, Erin. Good journal
Erin.
prompt.
See how you go.
Oh, awesome, guys. Look, I think we've covered a lot today, lots to consider. As I said, I think that there's other things we'll be able to get Erin back on for because I think she has a lot to offer.
Agreed.
In the sense of like...
If you want to
guys.
find Erin, she's also the Clutter Consultant
Yes.
on Instagram.
Definitely
She
check
does
her
great
out.
things, if not even just to watch her reels cleaning something. It is a good time. Her Christmas tree decorating is on point. And generally, she's just the coolest human. So if you text her and message her and say, I fucking love your podcast, she's going to fucking love you right back.
Yes.
Yes, you will.
Also, again, if you have any questions on this podcast, please jump on our DM and contact me, and Ez and I and Jen can have a conversation about it. But I'm also always really intrigued if this has brought something up for you to go, I want to look into that, or I need to know more information, or how did they handle this? Please jump in touch and we can let you know from all sides what that looks like.
Just scratch the surface. So.
Yeah. That was a long 5 years down to 1 hour
Condensed.
episode.
Yeah.
So thank you, Ezzy, for coming on our podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
We miss you every day in the salon, but we're glad you're in every 5 weeks. Generally with treats. FOMO. Yeah, so much FOMO.
So much FOMO.
Thank you for being a part of the sisterhood for many, many, many years and many more years to come.
She's branded.
Thank you for having
She's
me.
pushed
In it for
branded.
life.
Maybe I should just get a tattoo gun in the salon.
Yes.
Once I've
Always
just
an
discovered
option.
them deemable enough, then it says it in their contract.
Yeah.
Once you get past probation, we'll brand you with a moon.
I like it. Do it.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Ez. And thanks everybody for listening today.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Haircare Group is the trusted partner of the professional hair industry, a proudly Australian family-owned company with over 45 years in business, founded by a hairdresser for hairdressers. Haircare Group are passionate about the industry, partnering with salons to provide tailored solutions that empower you and your team to make your clients feel their very best. For Haircare Group, it's more than hair.